Where do we put our money? Which I actually was a question that I was going to come to with you is to protecting yourself in those economic downturns. But I am curious as to what you think is going to happen with things like oil prices and commodity prices in the lead up to this peak of the K wave. Have you been looking at that?
Yeah, so I think if we there's different ways of looking at this. I think um, commodity prices are we're going to see a weaker dollar, which is going to be bullish for commodities. I think Trump definitely wants a weaker dollar. Okay, I think that's the first thing. It might not happen immediately. There's so many different things going on. In fact, gold had a big sell-off yesterday, and that was right on the timing points and the fact that the smart money's pulling out of gold. Um, at least
Do you
for the
see that
moment.
continuing with gold?
No, I think it's a pullback. I think
Yeah.
all these things will head much higher up.
Mm.
So gold is a tough one to forecast because it's historically been pegged. So we have to look at silver prices. But you asked about oil.
Mm.
What I think is that if we take 1973 and add the 60-year cycle to that, 73, 74, the OPEC oil crisis, and in fact the bottom of the major stock market, Western stock market run, there, add 60 years to that, takes us to 2023, sorry, 2033. So I think there's a chance that we do see the 60-year cycle, see oil prices continue on up. They're just showing the first signs of picking up some momentum now. Um, of course, there is this argument there isn't as much demand because of electric vehicles. I mean, I've argued that there's not enough rare earth to make as many electric vehicles and so on. And that's just a government agenda. It's a climate change thing, isn't it? Right. So, well, what's climate change? Climate change is just huge cycles. It's don't try and interfere with these, because I read they're trying to do things in space now to, yeah, we've had global warming, we've had global cooling, because after global warming comes global cooling. And when the kids are out there saying you parents are all destroying it for us, it's like, okay, when you get a bit older, study cycles. This is all part of a natural rhythm. It's a 10,000 year cycle. Look at the work of Raymond Wheeler, look at the work of all these other people. It's there. The Thames froze over. There was one year where Britain was dark,
Yes.
all year. You could walk across the Thames here and things like that. So, there's a Maunder minimum, there's this and that and so on. So people don't understand big cycles. And yes, some levels, one of the things in my day job is I fly over Greenland quite a lot when I fly to the West Coast of America. You can see there are less glaciers. There's no doubt about it. You can see it's melted compared to how it was 20, 30 years ago. And I've got pictures to prove it. But, at some point, and I believe we're actually going into a cooling cycle with the next sunspot cycle, next 26, cycle 26, we might see a degree of cooling. And that cooling also relates to a higher level of civil unrest as well. So these are the really interesting things. I think I've covered that in one of the videos I've done there, but this idea that you might see great unrest. So coming back to oil, yeah, Trump's keen that, what's it, drill, baby, drill, try and get the cost of oil. Now, here's really interesting. Back in the 1970s, America was a mass net importer of oil. More recently, it's been an exporter of oil. And so it really, it's not going to be impacted as badly by the oil situation. Also, the relationships with the countries in the Middle East now have changed such that they are a lot more American dependent. They're supplied with arms, and it's the same thing. The imperialism that will come, we'll help you out, do this, we'll do that, we can build this for you and help with this and that, and so on. So I think things are really interesting. Let's put it that way. I don't think we're going to have the most stable few years, definitely in terms of war cycles. But yeah, in answer to your question, I think we probably want to look at oil potentially being in a bull market all the way through to 2033, something like that, 2034.
Mm. And so, in respect to us being close to an economic downturn, I think we both agree that that's really on the horizon. And looking at the exact date of when that would happen would have to be my subscribers signing up to you and seeing what conclusions you come up with. I've come up with conclusions for months and dates, actually, which I put out last week. But it's that question that I get all the time. which is, where do we put our money? If the land market's going to go, if the stock market's going to go, if commodity markets are going to go, do we stash it under the mattress? What do we do with it? Gold, precious metals. I have my answer, but I'm curious as to what you would advise, general advice.
Yeah, this is a really tough one, isn't it? I just, you know, if the world's going to end, then it doesn't really matter, right? That's the first thing. That's an extreme.
Fred
I'm
Harrison's
not saying the world's
yeah.
going to. I'm not saying that. I'm not. You talk to Dave Murray about that one if you want. But I think gold is quite important, definitely. I think the grains are going to be impacted. One of the reasons for grains being impacted is that we're in the 90-year cycle from the Dust Bowl in America, where a lot of the crops were lost due to improper farming methods leading up to that. So I think if you're a commodities trader, I think which is what we predominantly do, is trade commodities, is it's something that's where the opportunities lie. I should say we don't give advice. That's it. So just give some thoughts there. Um, just live each day for the as it comes, I would say. But no, seriously, I think commodities are the way forward. Um, what is money? And as we move into, so this is the whole thing, is like, what is an asset now we're talking about central bank digital currencies, all that sort of stuff. I still haven't got my head around Bitcoin. I just don't understand how it's got to these levels. I understand it from a charting viewpoint. I understand it from the cycles viewpoint. The cycles, in fact, Bitcoin's one of the most perfect markets for prediction. And looking at what the smart money is doing, it looks like it's about to head up. But as far as I can see, it has no intrinsic value. And I think to start just over the pandemic time, Bitcoin soaked up some of the money that would have gone into gold previously as well. But
Yes.
I don't I try as I might, I still think it's a figment of our imagination, or be it quite an expensive one. So and to full disclosure, yeah, I have some investments there that were a buy and hold from way back when. So yeah. So I don't, so really the real investments, go and get yourself a farm and become self-dependent. New Zealand is probably I've only visited once way back when, but everybody raves about New Zealand as a flight to safety. I think Australia is not too bad either. And the thing is that what you want to do is, if you start becoming self-sufficient and grow your own stuff, you need to be able to defend that and as well. That's where the threat's going to come, when hungry
Mm.
people come. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
funny you say that, because David doesn't think that Australia and New Zealand are safe at all. So whenever I put these questions to him, because one of the questions that comes up is, where do we go to avoid the war? And he's like, Australia and New Zealand, they're the last places you want to be. And so that's what scares my subscribers. But it's also interesting you saying that, because obviously I advise people on buying real estate, and I help people buy real estate. And I've had very many, actually, since COVID, people wanting to get out of cities into a home that runs independently of electricity, that they can put their solar panels and they can farm their own food, and is as far away from anybody else as possible. And of course, that's actually it's an interesting cycle, because it's a technological cycle, but it's also a kind of transport cycle as well, because now we are able to live where we want to and work where we have to. We can work from home. The majority of us can do a proportion of our work from home, so we don't have to be so locationally based, and that impacts the land markets and impacts the land cycle. So it's interesting how that eventuates. We have been going on for quite a long time, so I want to give you a chance, sort of as we wrap up this interview, to just sort of showcase what it is that you do, because I even had an email this morning from somebody that said to me, Catherine, I just want to be told what to do, when to get in the markets, when to get out the markets, the exact timing of it. And I wanted to email her back then and say, Andrew is the guy that you need to go right to, because he's the one that I reckon has got the best track record when it comes to giving actual dates. So just give a bit of a showcase of where people can come and what they can get from you, and what the products are that they should subscribe to if they're interested in getting these reports.
sure. So before I just throw a few things up on the screen, the first thing is that we're at markettimingreport.com, and the Market Timing Report is a monthly publication where I look at the key timing points for 6 major markets, which is the S&P, gold, crude oil, euro, dollar index, and Bitcoin. I also put most months I put some geopolitical commentary in there. I feel, I look back at what's likely to come up, and that's just a way of protecting yourself and also finding opportunities that might lie ahead. So that's our core publication. Now, what happened was that the timing points historically, we just used ourselves when we created the system that we programmed, and we sold these to, say, 3 hedge funds, and they used it as part of the decision-making process. As we went out there to make this stuff available to everybody at an affordable price, we found people were coming in saying, well, I don't know how to use this. So we created the Market Timing Report trading course, which is the best of everything we've used over the last 30 years. And it's actually the same system that we used when I was running a hedge fund over in America, where we closed up that year. We closed up 34%, beating the S&P 500 by 49%. So it's these techniques. And what's important about these techniques is they're all about managing risk, about knowing where to get in, where to get out. And then with that, we've created a couple of other things. We have some grain reports which show timing on grains, wheat, corn, and soybeans. But most importantly, we've got 2 things. There's two other things, what we call the Master Traders course and professional platform, which looks at what the smart money is doing. So these are based on, we do a deep analysis of the commitment of traders data, look to see who's moving the most amount of money in different areas, and we're able to foresee potential highs coming in, potential lows coming in, and so on. And we are able to then trade those using the Market Timing Report trading course. The other thing that we've just released, which I'll show you momentarily, is for people who want to do some shorter term trading over, looking at stocks, commodities, you name it, FX over a few days to weeks. Then we have a seasonality platform, which we've incorporated with AI. So if I may, Catherine, I'll just bring just give you a 2-minute overview of
Yeah,
that.
please do.
In fact, I actually, what I'll do is before we start that, I will show, if I may, um, some of our histograms and this idea of how we can look at stuff. So let me know when you can see this over here.
Yes, we can see
Okay, so
that.
what we've got. Great, thank you. So what we've got here is our histogram system. These are the cycles that we were talking about, and the idea is that where they peak, and this is this was the one peak for the 2020 high that you asked about. This is the mid-February high. There, we knew that was coming up. These are known in advance, so you can see that these are future ones here coming in. So because this was known in advance, we were ready for a major high, and you can see where these big spikes occur. So this is the concept, and this is what we cover in the Market Timing Report. So you can find out more by going to. In fact, we've got a very big cycle in gold this week as well. So I've told you what it is, even though it says gives you some clues there. So that's the report. Then what I want to do is show you this. This is our seasonality platform, and the idea being here is that if you're looking for something to trade, what were the odds that's where you're going to get the strongest odds just based on seasonality. Now, if you combine this with the instruments we cover in the Market Timing Report, you get a much higher level of accuracy. And this platform that we've only had out a few weeks now, and the back test is showing 68 to 69% accuracy, just taking the trades that come up. So what we've got here is for any day, we've got all the highest probability trades, and then we can filter them into the very highest like this. And we look at different types of seasonality, and we use a bit of AI there. So, for example, what date are we at? We're at the 24th, aren't we? So here, but we can look at, well, NXT is coming up here. And if we click on that, this is Next, which is a UK stock. And what we see here is the blue pattern is the seasonality pattern. And this here, this trade here, if we click on the box here, this is, if it's green, it's a potential long trade. And if we click on that, what we see is that between the dates here of the 26th of April to 13th of May, over the last 32 years, that's been profitable 78% of the time, delivering returns of 75%. It's as simple as that. So again, we can go straight back to the there and select the optimal ones. But over here, we made it easy. These are the ones that are correlating the most highly. So next at the moment is correlating 92% to all of its years. Then we have different stocks, and you can filter them down into commodities. We've got US stocks. We are bringing Australian stocks in fairly soon. And these are the ones that have worked really well. So the last three trades there, and natural gas have given us, have been 10 out of 10 right, as it were, delivering 45%. So there's natural gas. Just click on it and you can see there how these patterns unfold. And at the moment, the natural gas pattern is against that. We have what if scenarios. It's quite deep. I don't want to bore you to death with all the different cycles, but the next clear cycles are here, here, and here. And as I say, they all feed into this calendar here like that. And as I say, we've got everything from cryptos, majors, US sectors, financials, energies, metals, grains. It's all in here. So that's that one there. And then the other thing we look at is this here. This is our smart money platform. We look at movements between what the commercials, the producers, and the hedgers are doing, and how hedge funds are following them, and how the retail money operates. And we it's basically a very deep dive into the commitment of traders data that's released every week by the CFTC in America. And we highlight anything that's in dark purple is about to move to the upside in futures contracts. So we're looking here at crude oil. We're also looking here at the 5-year bonds, and anything that's in a lighter color, for example, the Japanese yen here is likely to be moving to the south side in terms of futures. So we can see exactly what's going on there. And if I take it a stage further, if we were to click on the Japanese yen here, what we're seeing here is actually there is a huge, so it's basically the yen futures, not spot, are looking quite bearish. Well, we can see why, because we've had this huge level of commercial selling. So the banks and the people, the inner side of people are selling, and they're at a level that we saw at this high here, coming back to that. So we're very close to a significant top there. And it's actually one of the highest levels we've ever seen in the yen. So I think there's quite an interesting move coming here on that, for example. So this is an overview. We do a monthly power session as well with this, going through each item to see what's about to move. But it immediately shows us, for example, if we look at crude oil as well, the index is up here at a point where we're potentially looking at some buying coming in. And we can see that the hedge funds are really selling quite heavily. When they sell very heavily, that we know that we're close to a low, because the hedge funds are wrong at extremes because they're trend followers. So that's an overview of that. And very quickly, I'll just show you what we call the extremes. We have default positions, and we're interested in anything that flashes here. So, for example, platinum is a potential trade we're looking at, as is soybeans. They're about to flip. And we can see there's been a tremendously high amount of activity there in the different players in the Japanese yen world, as well as the treasuries. So that's just an overview of what we do. It's on the website, and we have a lot of stuff that's available there to traders and investors. And how do we use this? It's all about incremental gains. It's all well and good looking for the holy grail of W.D. Gann and anybody else and George Bayer. I don't think it exists. What I do know as an airline pilot is that if we can reduce risk incrementally, just in small pieces, we can get great results. And we've proven that time and time again. And it's all about risk management. So, for example, you've already seen, what could we trade right now? Well, maybe we'd look at the Japanese yen. We could look at the seasonality on the yen using the other platform as well. So we've invested a lot of money in these, several hundreds of thousands of pounds just developing these, so our customers and clients can get a real edge. And the seasonality platform generates so many good trades. In fact, we do offer anybody subscribing to the report gets a deal on the seasonality platform. So those are the main things we do. And of course, if I'm available on a very limited basis for consultancy to, and I do talk to some very big hedge funds and as I say, the government and the military about some of this stuff as well. But I'm just passionate about all of it. That's it, really. Like you, Catherine, we love cycles. We've got the ability to get an edge on people. Well, not on people, but on life. It's not about getting one up on anybody else, but it's about being a little bit more prepared. It's been about being a little bit prepared. And rather than, kids of today losing their abilities to converse because they're playing games on their computers and phones all the time and everything. We're still here looking for the edge. If you're watching this, you've been looking for an edge, and it's great. So we're here, and you know, everything has a mathematical cycle behind it, as far as I can see. Every single thing, whether we like it or not, that's it. It's a case of whether we can identify those cycles, and whether you have free will as to whether you want to act on those cycles as well. So yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's I can't wait. I'm so happy that you spoke to me. I think that your research is absolutely phenomenal. As I told you last night on the phone, I think that I don't really know anybody else that can boast the track record that you can boast, particularly with pinning those dates of highs and having the systems that you've created are marvelous. And I'm very excited to see where things go over the next few years for you. And you will absolutely be somebody that I hope will come back on the show and talk, and maybe we can
Yeah,
even.
just invite me. I love talking to people who are interested in this, and I'm also fascinated by your work, Catherine. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we can do a webinar with some subscribers, or a question and answer session or something, which I think would be really interesting. And I thought it was interesting the comment you make about how we're people that can converse, because I feel that we have entered the age of stupid, really, where there's so many tools and systems to rely on that people do stop using their own brain, stop exercising their own brain. It becomes so easy just to go and look something up on the internet or ask ChatGPT to do something that it's kind of like a big dumbing down, even though it's a period of time where we should be more intelligent than we've ever been. But thank you so much for joining me. I think this is one of the best interviews and most informative interviews that I've had the pleasure of doing. I can't wait to release it to my subscriber base this weekend, and of course I will share the content with you so that you can share it with your subscribers, and I will link to your report. And yeah, look forward to talking to you again and seeing how the world events are moving very quickly. So it will be interesting conversation, I'm sure.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I'd be delighted to if people want to do a Q&A or anything. If people are interested in cycles, we're here to spread the word. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. That is the underlying passion, isn't it? Is to get the word out there and just to say, it's almost like screaming the obvious. You've got to recognize this. You've got to notice this, because if we are going to create a better world for ourselves, a better environment for our families, a more peaceful atmosphere, then really cycles have to be acknowledged and they have to be prepared for. And that's the whole point, of sort of forecasting them and helping people save money, but they have a bigger purpose behind them. So it's very exciting to be involved in it. And yes, I look forward to talking to you in the future.